It's only 2 weeks till Christmas, and Record of the Month Club Vinyl Me Please is offering 3-month, 6-month, and annual gift subscriptions. Starting in January, gift recipients will receive exclusive pressings of incredible albums, along with original 12x12 art prints and cocktail pairing recipes. Previously featured artists include Madvillain, Perfume Genius, and Thelonious Monk. No invitation required. Purchase your gift subscriptions using the link below in the description box. Hi everyone, the new Charlie XCX record just isn't that good. Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Foo Fighters record, Sonic Highways. Foo Fighters are an American alternative rock band known for their frontman Dave Grohl, who is very famous for the years he put in as the drummer of Nirvana, and also kind of very well known for the numerous hits Foo Fighters have dished out over the years on the radio, great records like The Color and the Shape. The band also has some very rarely mentioned connections to bands like The Germs and Sunny Day Real Estate too. Now, personally, I do enjoy my rock music to be a little more raw and aggressive than Foo Fighters' usual combination of driving riffs and rockin' hooks. But with that being said, I think they are aging more gracefully in an artistic manner than most bands who came up with them in the 90s. Now, the band's last LP was a pretty big record for them, Wasting Light. This album saw the return of Pat Smear in the band and also Butch Vig producing. And there were some pretty explosive surprises on this record too, with tracks like Bridge Burning and White Limo. And also on this LP there were some arena rock nightmares and a few cliche lyrics, but at the end of the day, the message for me coming from this record is that Foo Fighters are here to stay in terms of artistic relevance and commercial relevance. And now just a couple of years later, we're getting this new Foo Fighters LP, which the band has been promoting with some singles, and an HBO documentary series where the band goes from one amazing historical music studio to another, kind of telling the story about that studio and interviewing musicians who recorded in that studio. There's 8 episodes of this show. There are 8 different locations featured in that show, 8 different music studios, and there are 8 tracks on this record. Each song on this LP being recorded in a different studio and featuring different collaborators. So you have this album, this musical album, and you also have this documentary series, 2 different projects, 2 different mediums, but they are very deeply intertwined. And I hope you've had the opportunity to experience both sides of Sonic Highways, because this project is really more interesting as a total package than it is just an album itself. Foo Fighters are sounding even more mild than usual on this new set of songs, as the band tries to construct these really grand, elongated ballads that have some kind of boring instrumental interludes in them. Some of these songs last up to 6 or 7 minutes, and their completely sentimental intentions can be seen from a mile away. And for me, the most disappointing thing about this project as a whole is that I don't really think the music reflects the diversity of the locations or the studios or the collaborators, honestly. Occasionally you get like a buried in the background guest vocalist on this thing. There's one track that features kind of a ritzy horn line playing a melody that is already being mirrored by a lead guitar. There's one track on this thing that features kind of a Backwater guitar riff that feels like an unreciprocated crush on Creedence Clearwater Revival going on. Foo Fighters try to write softer music on this LP, but the finesse and the passion and just the heartbreak isn't really there. There are most definitely some old school influences flowing throughout this record, but there are a few tracks that feel like a bit more contemporary, kind of like Dave Grohl is getting some inspiration from his buddies over at Queens of the Stone Age, especially with the opening cut, which kind of feels like a Beatles-style melody and chord progression applied to Josh Homme's usual just weary vocal. And then we have the song Subterranean, which just sounds just like a track that could have come off of Like Clockwork, but Foo Fighters is performing it miraculously. The guitars and the drums on this LP really dominate the mix and don't leave too much room for anything else, which is fine. I mean, it's a rock record, but the way they are performed and played is so straight and predictable. Just tuning into the guitars, just riding their groove is about as exciting as riding the groove of like a second hand on a watch. What Little Fire Foo Fighters managed to bring back on Wasting Light has just completely just died out and dissipated on this record, with the exception of the only song in the track list that I think I loved, and that is Feast in the Famine. It was a feast in the famine! The grooving bass on this track, the fractured guitar arpeggios, as well as Dave Grohl's impassioned vocals really make this track feel like just some classic Foo Fighters. Straightforward, high energy, catchy, and kick-ass. All in all, this is certainly a coherent record. There are a few catchy moments on it, but it's just kind of a letdown given the backstory of this thing, which was used pretty heavily to promote this album. It just seems like Foo Fighters, in the face of immense collaborative opportunities, have opted to just kind of make a record that they could have put together by going to just one studio at one location. I wish the creativity and the ambition in the idea behind this project and bringing the guests in and so on and so forth reflected in the performances and the songwriting as well. The thing is that it just doesn't. It's not a terrible album, but the most interesting things about it are just the pieces of context orbiting it. I'm feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this thing. Transition. If you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Foo Fighters, Sonic Highways, forever.